Which NBA team, just the players on the roster, would have the best chance of taking down an adult gorilla in hand-to-hand combat?
Man, so we're already losing 85 humans from the normal conversation of 100 to 1. First instinct, I got two teams off the top of the dome. I got the Milwaukee Bucks for some reason because Giannis is such a freak, right? Also, Bobby Portis just seems like he's crazy. Like he would absolutely take on somebody. And then the other team I have is Houston. And that's because, man, Steven Adams.
Yeah,
like,
that's right.
Come on. Like, I want Steven and like Amin Thompson so fast he could probably just like confuse the gorilla while other people do their thing. But I don't really like my chances with any of these teams.
Yeah. And Steven Adams is a good answer because I would be interested in Steven Adams one-on-one with the gorilla. But I think I have the answer. It's the Pelicans. All I need is Zion and like a super soaker full of hot sauce. And just spray it on the gorilla and just clear out.
Lord.
Welcome to Oddball. I'm Amin Elhassan. That over there is Izzy Gutierrez. We are both in Miami, Florida, where playoff basketball doesn't exist anymore.
Damn it.
We'll talk about that later in the show.
Do we have to?
I mean, we have to. Come on, man. We got to let that slide. At the show on Monday.
It's going to filibuster.
Yeah, no, we're going to have to. We have to talk about that. But first, Miami's collapse pales in comparison to the Bucks' collapse because the Bucks were up, Izzy, 7 points with 40 seconds to go in that game.
You know how I know they were up with 7 seconds, 7 points with 40 seconds? I turned the TV the second Antetokounmpo made that jumper or made that little float. The second in overtime, it was like a 7-point game. I was like, all right, check out. And then I saw the score half an hour later, lost my mind. So thought it was a mistake.
This is the crazy part. We have the stat up on the screen that at that point in time, the Bucks had basically a 98% chance of winning the game. That's not the most impressive stat about being up 7 with 40 seconds to go. Because I saw this, I believe, on Get Up, but up until last night, the Milwaukee Bucks, as an organization, as a staff, crew, record label, and a mother-loving crew, in that scenario, up 7 with 40 seconds to go, 1,609-0.
Wow. You know what else had never happened before until the ending of that game? AJ Green missed one of 2 free throws. First free throw he's ever missed in the playoffs.
Really?
He was 4 for 4 before that.
Oh, okay. So Milwaukee had a 20-point lead in the first half. The Pacers came back. They got the game overtime. 7 points to go, as I said, with 40 seconds left. And the collapse happens. That includes a big three from Andrew Nembhard. It includes a couple of wild turnovers, including one that went between Gary Trent's legs, a la Bill Buckner in 86.
Or Gary Trent, man, had himself the game, 8 threes, and then that one, and they lose it.
But I'm going to tell you the play for me. It was Giannis v. Haliburton, one-on-one, and Tyrese Haliburton crossed the ever-loving shit out of him.
Did he?
He crossed him so hard. I was like, it was shocking because I wouldn't even think to try that around Giannis. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is greatness, is when you have the confidence. I'm not only going to go at Giannis, I'm going to cross him up.
Could you call it the killer crossover from his, nemesis, Tim Hardaway?
That's right.
But this was probably the worst way you could lose it if you're Giannis in the Bucks, because if you've got your superstar in his prime, sort of giving the possibility, throwing out there, hey, I might want to go somewhere else because I need to win my second championship, which he said on his brother's podcast, which I didn't even know was a thing.
Come on, Thanalysis? Come on, man.
I did not know that was the name.
I'm a big fan.
Until just right now. When he said on there, I got to win a second one at least. Like, that's the worst way he could lose, because it's like, man, we can't even win when we're winning.
Yeah.
Like, we have a 99% chance of winning, and I can't finish the deal. And I know I'm doing my part. And look at the guy we picked up, can't even get off the bench, and Kyle Kuzma. Everybody's playing 47 minutes. It feels like he's got to go. Like, I know he's got so many years left on his deal, but it feels like he's got to go.
So, because we missed you on Monday, this is also the Lillard injury news. We know Lillard will be out for the entirety of next year with that torn Achilles. How does that make you feel about the Bucks' future, losing the way they did on top of not having Lillard next year?
Yeah, I mean, I think it seals the deal. When you have no Lillard and you can't convince Giannis, hey, we can replace him, right? Because he's not going to get him off the books. Nobody's going to trade for him in this condition. That doesn't feel like he is any possibility of staying. Like, he will do whatever it takes to demand a trade and get out of there. He will leave Damian Lillard behind, knowing that he's not going to play next year, and then it's a player option after that. So he's not really leaving Dame behind. And yeah, I think it's time to go. I feel like the Knicks is an obvious choice in terms of an organization that could utilize him and will just give everything to compete for a championship. And it would mean so much going to New York and doing that. So for me, that's the play. It's nowhere in the Western Conference, stay in the Eastern Conference.
All right, so Giannis, look, Knicks are a nice destination because they have players. They don't have picks. That's why you don't give up 5 for Mikal Bridges. Because next summer someone
But they have Bridges.
But they do have Bridges, right? So the Nets have been talked about a lot, as this is what has been their plan all along, basically post Kevin Durant and James Harden. Then you get, like, people say the Rockets. The Rockets are going to be in everyone's wish list because they've got players and they've got picks. I believe if the Thunder don't have the season that they're expecting to have this year, the Thunder will be talked about a lot because they have all the picks and they have a bunch of players too. But I think I've identified the perfect. If I'm John Horst, this might be the first team I pick up the phone to call.
Perfect. Like, none of the teams that you just mentioned?
None of the teams I just mentioned.
Wait, real quick. Is it Miami?
It's not Miami.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
All right.
So I know, much to the chagrin of everyone who works here. But I think it's New Orleans.
Ooh.
I think you pick up the phone and you say, Zion and all my picks back. Because now you're hedging your bet, right? Like, if I get Zion and I can get a version of Zion that is healthy and weight conscious and all that, I've just replaced my superstar with another superstar, right? But the hedge is I get those picks back. That's the thing that makes this next year and all these years scary, is that I don't have control of my picks. And I might, I can't basically afford to be bad. This allows them to afford to be bad if it doesn't work out. And if it does work out, you get Zion and he's playing, guess what? Our downtime is damn near, invisible pretty much.
Yeah, I spent the whole time thinking of what kind of food city Milwaukee is. And you know what? Bratwurst, not the best. So I think it's a decent place for Zion. I don't think it's a great place for Giannis. Like, he's not going to be happy if Trey Murphy and maybe CJ McCollum on the tail end of his career is going to be his top sidekicks. Now, you're going to build something around him real quick. Okay, yeah. I'd go for that. But I definitely like the move from Milwaukee. Like, if you're the Bucks and you can get a superstar in the making who hasn't been, everything hasn't been fulfilled for him, then it's a great get.
Yeah, DeJounte Murray, don't forget about him. He's coming back from injury. You've got Trey Murphy. You've got my man Herb Jones, right? Yves Missy,
Herb Jones,
who was a nice little discovery this year. Like, they've got some stuff there. Like, the big thing we've talked about the Pelicans the last couple of years is like, just, they're hurt. Well, you give them Giannis and get some health in those other ancillary pieces. I think, it's tough. It's the Western Conference, but it gives you an opportunity.
Okay, I still think it's the Miami Heat. So let's just go ahead and
let's talk about
get that conversation.
Since you want to talk about the Heat, all right, here we go. Yeah, since you insist, the Cavs beat the Heat 138-83 on Monday night. That's that plus 122-point differential in the series is the biggest in NBA's history for a 4-game series. Here is Spo talking after the game.
But damn, it was humbling. This series was humbling. These last 2 games were embarrassing. But Cleveland's also a very good team. We won whatever we won. They won 65. We're as irrational as we usually are, thinking that we have a chance to win this series. And they showed us why, we weren't ready, for that.
Izzy, what did the Miami Heat learn?
You know what? It's funny. I don't know how much they actually learned because
really,
well, I know what I learned. I learned the Cleveland Cavaliers are my favorite to win it all. Prisoner of the moment. Say what you will. They're my favorite. Shout out to Kenny Atkinson. The Miami Heat already knew this wasn't good enough. Mm-hmm. They already knew, like, this is the first time in who knows how long that they were going without an actual number one. They knew that Bam is not a lead guy. They knew Tyler can be a lead guy at times, but not for the course of a season. Mm-hmm. So they knew we're going into war without the head of the snake. And that's what it looked like. We got absolutely trounced by what I consider the best team in the Eastern Conference. They were always going to get another whale, whether that meant giving up on Tyler Hero, whether that meant blasphemy, giving up on Bam. That to me, I think is the only thing that could have turned with this series. I don't think they've gotten there. Yeah, give up on Tyler Hero for a bona fide superstar. Never give up on Bam Adebayo because he is your franchise fixture. He is the thing that keeps everything together. Otherwise, you're just one of those middling teams that's just going to change, parts all the time. And then you try to find your big name, the guy that they were trying to put next to Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler has been your whale this whole time. Wasn't good enough. You got to go find another one.
Right. I think at least demonstrates forever, because the problem is sometimes either the franchise or the people, the surrogates around it, try to sell us some bullshit, but then they start believing in it, right? Yeah. It's one thing to sell bullshit. It's another thing when you start believing your own bullshit. Tyler Hero, all-star Tyler Hero is good. Like, no, he's not. He's a nice player. He's a good player, but he is an ancillary player. He's not even, I don't even think he is like cornerstone levels. I think Bam is cornerstone levels, but guess what? You're at a point now where everything's on the table in terms of what to give up, in terms of what we're getting back. But this thing that for months it felt like, oh no, Tyler, look, he's averaging 25 and he's shooting splits of this, and hey, tell me the other guys who have this kind of efficiency. And like, no, it was all mirage.
You know where there's a sense of pride there, because it's like, hey, that guy, when he is the looter in the riot, kind of does it pretty decently. A little bit more efficient than some other guys, and very much like, wow, the Miami Heat have gotten the most out of this gentleman that we didn't think would be an all-star. Yeah. Right? It is very nice. But even when Tyler was asked, after the trade, hey, are you guys a championship contender? He's like, hey, let's call a spade a spade. Of course not. Right. And that's with him as the lead guy. So he even recognized that. So I don't think that they learned anything here. I do think it is interesting, though, that there was a story on Tyler Hero that I think you guys talked about, where there was this quote that made it sound like he would never win without Jimmy or needed. It's just, first of all, that was taken entirely out of context. He was asked by, and actually Tyler straightened this out on his other Instagram account. I think it's Wonder Did It, where he clarified that he was asked about right after the trade, what that transition was like. And the idea that he can't win without Jimmy is silly. But I do think that that's the only existence he's known in the NBA. Sure. So him moving on from that, leader 1A to another one, or being the guy, is a tough transition.
I do want to address, he's talking about Jared Weiss, who works for the Athletic Roadie, so he called him a goofy. This is one of the things that I don't know if it will ever get fixed in the relationship between players and media. Yeah. Jared wrote a long, very detailed, in-depth piece. It was very clearly identified when that comment came and the context within which it was made. It was then by an aggregator taken out of context, and that's what went viral. And Tyler should be angry that he was virally decontextualized, right? But it wasn't Jared Weiss who wrote it, who did that.
To me, it sounded like Tyler had previous opinions on this writer, and just this sort of solidified it.
Not at all, because he sat down with him and gave him, this wasn't him going to other people.
I will say, look, I'm just not to blame the writer or anything. I put it in the attribution, some way, somehow, literally in the middle of the quote, where even an aggregator is going to be like, man, I probably have to use that part of it, don't I? It's the only thing you can do. So I'm not, we're not here to blast this guy or whatever.
So this is what we're seeing, old journalism veteran Izzy Gutierrez.
You got to prepare yourself.
You got to put booby traps everywhere like you're the kid from Home Alone.
What do we got? We got the second round now. The only one we know is coming, Pacers, Cavs. What do you think? What's going to happen?
I mean, I'm with you. It's not that I needed that series to let me know that the Cavs are amazing, but I won't lie. Saying, Darius Garland, take some time off.
Well, he's the luxury,
dude. That's insane. It's insane. I keep waiting for the Ty Jerome experience to kind of run out of gas.
So good.
But it's amazing, and part of it is just logistics, right? I have so many things as a team that as a coach, to make my players understand we got to worry about this. We got to worry about how far down before we get to Ty Jerome? How much time are we spending on Ty Jerome? But that's not a knock on Ty Jerome. That's more of a credit to the number of weapons this team has, right? And was it game 3 or game 4? It was
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't spend too much time watching games 3 and 4 of that series.
Neither did the Heat, apparently. Right. They were just there. But DeAndre Hunter, there was a game where he just went crazy, and it's like, what do you do, man? I gotta stop Evan Mobley. I gotta stop. You gotta keep Jared Allen off the boards. And over
you know
here,
who else
Donovan
is
Mitchell.
capable of that game, of a carry me game?
Yeah.
Max Strus. You haven't even heard of him in a while. This team is just absolutely loaded. But can we get to my favorite game?
Yeah, go ahead.
It was the Nuggets, the Clippers.
Oh, that was a great series.
It's a big win.
It's a great series.
You got the Nuggets winning 131-115. They go up 3-2 in the series. Jamal Murray had 43 points, 5 rebounds, 7 assists on 1 free throw. He only needed 1 free throw. That doesn't happen. Mm-hmm. I loved everything about this game, but I think the conversation of like, is it a playoff riser, somebody who elevates to the moment, whether it be a Jimmy Butler or somebody else? Jamal Murray, who's got 50-point playoff games, seems like he's that guy. No,
yeah. So first, like, this is a great way to illustrate it. He's got 6 40-point playoff games, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's now in the top 25 or so in NBA history in that regard. I went through the list with Jeremy Taché earlier of the guys ahead of him on the list. Every single name on that list is either currently a Hall of Famer or is like surefire about to be Hall of Famer. The 2 most questionable names ahead of him are Jalen Brunson and Devin Booker. And I think the way both those guys' careers are going, they're going to end up in the Hall of Fame as well. So for Jamal Murray, who's never made an All-Star game, to be surrounded in essence, because the ones he's passed over also are Hall of Famers, to be in smack dab in the middle of this without ever being an All-Star indicates kind of a partial picture of like how much this guy's improving. And so I think about like who are the great playoff risers, because there are guys who undeniably play better in the postseason. Murray's on that list. Jalen Brunson, who I just mentioned, he's on that list. Hell, Nikola Jokic is on that list, right?
Well, Jokic this is crazy because, like, yeah, you could say he's a playoff riser, but he also had a 60-point triple-double in the regular season. Like, he was insane in this regular season, but you know what he's doing this postseason to elevate himself? He's coaching, man. Like, he is you see him out there. He's exasperated. Yeah. He's telling the guys what to do. First of all, don't tell me this guy doesn't care. He clearly cares. We talked about Giannis wanting a second one. He clearly wants a second one here. But look at the reaction from his team. They're absolutely doing it. Like, Michael Porter Jr. had a terrible game and followed it up with a 15-rebound high-effort game and is playing through the bad shoulder. Look at what Aaron Gordon just did last night. Yeah. Like, dude is if he's going to hit 16-foot bank shots from the baseline, it's over. They're going to win the championship. Like, everybody on that. This reminds me a little bit of never underestimate the heart of a champion, the Rudy Tomjanovich Rockets, because they were kind of shit at times in the regular season, but when they've got it together and Jokic has sort of put them there, they look like this team. And Jamal Murray, man, when he's in a rhythm, he just looks different. Like, he's a different player, and he is confidently looking for his shots. Nikola Jokic can just sit back and say, you guys do it. We got this.
The crazy thing is, the Clippers went up 2-1 in this series. And since then, game 4 and game 5, I'm watching Jokic and I'm like, oh, he's starting to figure it all out. Like, at first it's like, man, Zubac is really just kicking his ass up and down the floor. And now it's like, ooh, he's starting. You can see the computer, the algorithm that hits his brain. That was like
the last 2 fourth quarters, they're up 20 points. Like, if it wasn't for that crazy comeback that needed that dunk, like, this would be like, oh, they figured it out. This is lights out. And look, I'm sorry, man. Some people said, hey, I'm not going to fall for another Kawhi Leonard team. He's going to get hurt. I'm not going to fall for another James Harden team, man. Like, talk about playoff risers. He's a playoff shrinker. It is what it is. Like, the basketball gods are just not in his favor. Remember that one year where he just told the Rockets, you guys can never shoot again. And they missed 27 straight three-pointers. Like, he's just not going to come up clutch in these situations.
I have high hopes that we're going to get a good game 6.
Christian Brown is shutting him down.
Oh, my God. All right. Another person for the Nuggets that we got to tip our cap to is Russell Westbrook. He was great in his return. 21 points. Steve Ballmer has to hate Russ, right?
He does, man. What a great look at that image right there. He's rocking the baby because was it Bogdanovich was too small, and that look, that death look from Ballmer. Hey, if I'm the Clippers bench though, I'm like, all right, Russ, enough. You've looked over at us like 20 times. We get it. You didn't like us. You were only here for like a season. Get over
Not
it,
even
man.
like a half,
right? A half a season.
All right. So last one we got to talk about last night was the Pistons staying alive. I know you're excited about this, Izzy. They won 106-103 over the Knicks at Madison Square Garden. The series is now 3-2, headed back to Detroit. And for me, the story of the night was the maturation of Cade Cunningham, because this is the game that we said the Pistons would never win. This type of game, a close game. Not that they're not going to win any games, but when they win games, it's going to be like 8, 9, 10 points. It's not going to be these nail-biter execution plays. And in fact, we saw that in game 4, where Cade misses a shot that he usually makes, and then Tim Hardaway tried to contort himself to draw the foul. But last night, Cade made all the right plays.
And it wasn't just the fourth quarter. It was the second half of the fourth quarter for Cade. It was clutch time. But I got to say, another player that helped him get there was Ausar Thompson, man. He had his worst game of his life. They won that one anyway against Jalen Brunson. Now he had probably the best game of his NBA career. Won this one. Here's what I'll say about him. He's sloppy beginning of this series. Very quick learner. Yeah. And his defense on Jalen Brunson, absolutely huge difference maker in this series. I thought it was a great game and great for those two players.
I'll throw this out really quickly about the Thompson twins. Typically, when you have twins, usually one specializes in one thing and the other one specializes in another. And these two guys, they're both excellent defensively.
They just do it all.
It is crazy. They both do it all, but specifically defense, they are both excellent, and it's nice to see them contributing to a winning program.
We'll be right back, but I just wanted to mention a joke that Chris Vernon had about the twins. He said if those guys played one-on-one as kids, it must have lasted forever because nobody was going to score.
Game to 1. All right, welcome back to Oddball, and it's time for the Iciest Play of the Week, brought to you by Jägermeister. This week's Iciest Play is Jimmy Butler grabbing that game-sealing rebound against the Rockets. I know this pains you, Izzy, but I'm telling you right now. I'll tell you what made it. It's not that he's got the tailbone. It's not that he jumped over everybody like sky high to grab that rebound. It was afterward in the post-game press conference where he said, I told Draymond, if you get the stop, I'll get the rebound. And he got the stop. So I got the rebound.
Oh my God. Could you imagine you're playing basketball? You're like, hey, if you get the stop, I'll get the rebound. Be like, yeah, you will. Nobody ever does that nonsense.
It's like a movie.
Like, congratulations to Jimmy. By the way, his ass was completely numb, right? There's no way after that fall that he wasn't shot up with a bunch of stuff.
Of course.
Because every time he fell, it would have been a complete pain in the ass. But look, I'm tired of the Jimmy Glazing. This rebound is come on, man. It's a rebound.
Ice the game.
I'd rather talk about Ime Udoka icing the game with that ridiculous lineup he put out there with the two bigs and then just isolating Şengün on arguably the greatest defensive player of all time. What are you doing in that spot?
To be fair, Şengün was having a hell of a game, but to also be fair, he wasn't having a hell of a game against Draymond
Exactly.
Green.
He was not having a lining up Draymond.
But Draymond had 5 fouls, and he was out of control and everything.
It was the end of the game. He could have gotten a 6th foul, and it wouldn't have mattered. It was absolute terrible coaching from Ime, who's been doing an awesome job thus far.
Iciest Play of the Week is presented by Jägermeister. Serve it cold or don't serve it at all, you filthy animals. Jägermeister, damn, that's cold. For more, visit Jägermeister.com. Drink responsibly.
All right, we got Prop a Slot now. Prop a Slot is presented by DraftKings. Stay tuned because you'll hear more about DraftKings and all it has to offer throughout the show. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Oh, yeah.
All right, you know the rules. This slot generates actual prop bets from DraftKings. If we get to the third spin and we don't like any of them, we can take the option of taking the reverse parlay of all 3 of those.
All right.
So what is the first one?
Let's go.
We've got. Let's see this spin.
Spin it.
What is
spin it
today?
We got a couple of good games tonight.
Hey, how about that? We got LeBron James over 9.5 rebounds. That's at minus 125 right now on DraftKings. Jackson Hayes hasn't really been playing.
Jackson Hayes started, subbed out with after 4 minutes of play, and then never came back.
So somebody's got to get these boards.
Somebody's got to get these boards. Also, LeBron looks tired. Ooh. He looks exhausted, dude. It's not, and Minnesota is a big team, so it's not like, oh, someone's got to get these rebounds for the Lakers. No, the Wolves might grab all the rebounds.
This feels like a 9 rebound game for LeBron, and we're going to lose this if we take it. Let's spin the wheel again. It's not a wheel. Is it a wheel? It's 3 wheels.
Dude, you know what's funny? You missed Hot Streak the other day. They had Cavs minus 8.5, and I laughed. It's absolutely hammered.
Oh, my goodness.
All right, what we got? Luka Doncic over 6.5 assists. That's minus 130 on the DraftKings Sportsbook app. He only had 2 assists in the Game 4 loss. He had 1 assist in the Game 1 loss. He's averaging 5 for the series, though.
Well, this is definitely going to be a game where JJ is going to have to go into the coaching book, right, into the playbook, and just mix things up because it's getting a little bit too isolation heavy. I think Luke is going to find his point guard game. 6.5 is not a lot. Like if Luka had a triple double tonight, you'd be like, oh yeah, that's about right.
And it's an elimination game.
Yeah,
right? So,
I think we got to take this one.
Yeah, I'm with you. We'll take that one.
All right.
So Luka Doncic over 6.5 assists. That's minus 130. Real quick, we didn't get to mention that the Celtics moved on off of the Orlando Magic. Any thoughts about the Celtics? Izzy?
Yeah, my thought is Jason Tatum is just corny as hell with a stupid like wrist injury. He missed a game and he's celebrating with an injury. A game, my guy. Come on, like this. You are not Willis Reed over here. Get out of
Now
here.
you're doing the Jonathan Zaslow, Mike Ryan, Chris Whittingham.
Yeah,
a game.
No better way to emphasize.